got me shredding again. How embarrassing. Welcome to the final shred session. Today, we're going to talk mostly about 16th notes. We've talked about eighth notes, we've talked about quarter notes, and then some kids say to me, "But what if I want to play faster, Mr. Kunkel?" And I say, well, turn up your metronome, or let's do 16th notes. So, I'm going to show you something a little bit different for a minute here today, though, just because I think it's a fun new way to think about music that we haven't really talked about. This is particularly for those of you who like math and fractions. So, you know how we call them quarter notes and eighth notes? I'm going to show you a little bit more, or a different way to think about why we do that. When you're dealing with fractions, you always have to know what the whole is, or the one. In music, the whole, or the one, is the measure, right? So in fractions, you talk about 3/4 of something, or 9/10 of something. If it were music, the something you're talking about is the measure. So I'm going to draw a box that represents the measure. Now, if we wanted to only have two notes in a measure and have them be equal, they would be half notes. Most of the time we haven't talked about half notes, we've talked about quarter notes. So if we split the measure up into 4 equal parts, each one is 1/4 of the whole. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? Now, we've also talked about eighth notes. So I can draw some lines again and get 8 equal parts. Notice the whole didn't change. It's still one measure. The only thing that changed is the number of notes that I can fit in per measure. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Or 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, right? So today we're going to split it up still one more way to get even more notes. The measure's not changing. It's just there are more notes in that measure. Today we're going to talk about what if you want 16 notes in that measure. Math teachers out there, you could have a lot of fun with this, thinking about each one of these columns as being a set of 16th notes. And this came to me and I thought, wow, how cool. Now, if you look at this and you think, Mr. Kunkel, I thought we're doing music, not math. What's the deal, dude? You're supposed to get me excited about music and now you just made me mad. Well, guess what? Whatever. It was just for fun. I was just an experiment. Calm down. Let's look at regular notes. Let's look at the way we normally see them. We're going to write 4 quarter notes. 1, 2, 3 y 4. Right? 4 quarter notes, we would count them 1, 2, 3, 4. Mr. Tiki Taki, Mr. Tiki Taki would say 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, watch what happens when I add in those extra notes to have eighth notes. It still says 1, 2, 3, 4. And those are in the exact same position they were before. I didn't change that at all. The only thing we're doing is we're adding this word "and" in there. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Wow. I wonder, does anybody know a metronome repair guy? Now we're saying 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. Now, if you want to put in 16th notes, you leave the 1 and the 2 and the 3 and the 4 there. You leave the ands there. Those aren't moving. Those aren't changing. They're going to still be there. But we're adding in notes in between them. So it looks like this. 4 notes instead of 1 or 2. And We have 4 sets of 4, which is the same as 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4, or 4 times 4. Any way you look at it, we now have 16 notes in a measure, and that's why we call them 16th notes. Now, I'm going to leave the 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and I'm going to add the things that musicians often say to name these other notes. They like to use the sounds E and ah. So, we're going to keep what we have so far and add some E's and ahs. Right? Music is so fun to say, too. And you get this. Take a look at that. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and Listen to how it's counted. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. So, you can see, even though my beats per minute are pretty slow, 2, 2, 2, 2. Once you squeeze 4 notes into each one of those beats, you got a lot of notes. What? Right? Pretty cool. That's a 16th note. That is the main lesson for today. Now I'm going to talk about some other kind of fun concepts. But first we're going to do, actually let's do a test. Mr. Kunkel, will this be on the test? Yes, it will. But Mr. Kunkel, when is the test? Right now, okay? I'm going to slow the metronome down, and you're going to do some little clappy waps. And we're going to do it like this. We're going to do 1 measure of quarter notes. Maybe we should do 2. Should we do 2? Yeah, let's do 2. All right. 2 measures of quarter notes. 2 measures of eighth notes. Oh, geez. You know, one of these days, I'm going to be able to draw nice and even and neat and quickly. Doesn't seem to be in the cards for me at this point, but hey man, we're all learning, right? While I'm drawing these notes, let me tell you something else I was going to tell you. And that's this. What if you want to go even faster, Mr. Kunkel? 16th notes aren't fast enough. I really need to shred. Well, if that's you, friend, guess what? Those notes are out there. All notes you can imagine exist. Some of them you don't ever see. But if you take 16th notes and you double them, you get 32nd notes. What? That's true. 32nd notes are twice as fast as 16th notes. There are even 64th notes. You don't see them that much, but they exist. I suppose there are 128th notes as well. I'm not sure that I've ever really seen those, but I've heard talk about them. There's legend. Another interesting thing is that you don't only have to divide beats into 2s and 4s and 8s and 16s, you can divide them into thirds. Those are called triplets. Those are tricky to get a hang of, but they are really important and they come along a lot. But check it. There's what you're going to do. I'm going to set the metronome. You're going to clap it through once, and then I'm going to clap it through with you, and you're going to see if you pass the test. Let me slow him down so we got plenty of space. Gosh, he's so uneven. 1, 2, ready, go. Okay, you want to hear what it was supposed to be? Here we go. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Next one. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and here we go. And 4 and 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a sucker please. Now, triplets sound like this, just in case you're wondering. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. Okay? All this is bonus content. You probably stopped the video by now. That's allowed, okay? Another piece of bonus content. Of course, there are 16th note rests, right? And I'm trying to all of a sudden think what they look like, my friends. It's a lot like the 8th note rest, but I think it's got, oh my goodness, you know what? Look it up and get back to me. I know what they sound like, and I know I've read them a million times. Here's what we're going to do for the end. I'm going to play for you some stuff on the kit, and you're going to have your mind blown, man. And that's what I got for you. Shaky check, check, check it out. It's the drum set. Okay. Now, here we go. I want to show you this. I'm going to do my hi-hat. That's this guy. Just on the quarter note. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to do the sticks on the snare with the 8 note. Here we go. It's going to say, it's going to 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And now would you like to hear the 16ths? Okay. They're going to say 1 and 4 and 1. Okay, right? Now, let me pick it up a little bit and show you what it sounds like with some rests in there. I'm going to throw in some rests so you can hear. Right? That's all 16th notes with rests. Show you something else with the triplets. One and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a. That's where jazz comes from, right? They've got the ride goes on 1 2 1 2. The snare goes 1 2 3 1 2 3. You have two hands doing two different things. It sounds like this. The ride goes on 1 2 1 2. The snare goes 1 2 3 1 2 3. You have two hands doing two different things. It sounds like this.